A tale of lost love and redemption. Once upon a time, in a small, quiet village, lived a young man named Kofi and a beautiful maiden named Oma. They grew up together in the same village, their lives intertwined in a simple, yet deep bond. Kofi, though poor, was kind-hearted, hardworking, and the one person who truly loved Oma. They spent their days talking by the river, laughing under the shade of the village's old mango tree, and dreaming about a future they would build together. But life, as it often does, had other plans. One day, a man named Chuka returned to the village after several years abroad. Chuka was everything Kofi was not: wealthy, well-dressed, and had a luxurious car that gleamed under the sun. He wore expensive cologne, and the smell of it seemed to follow him wherever he went, captivating everyone around him. His presence alone commanded attention. He quickly became the talk of the village, and Oma's family couldn't help but notice him. Oma's parents, seeing his wealth, began to push for her to marry Chuka. "Look at his car, his clothes, the lifestyle he can give you. This is the future we want for you, my daughter," her mother would say. Her friends, too, were enamored with the idea of Oma marrying someone rich. They whispered about his handsome face, his charming smile, and his promises of a life full of comfort and luxury. Oma was torn. Her heart still belonged to Kofi, the boy who had stood by her side through every storm, the one who knew her better than anyone else. But the pressure from her family and friends grew too much. They promised her a life of ease and abundance if she chose Chuka. Reluctantly, Oma gave in. She knew the love she had for Kofi was pure, but she couldn't fight the weight of expectation and the temptation of a wealthy future. On the day of her wedding to Chuka, Kofi stood silently by the side, heartbroken. He watched as the woman he had always loved was taken away by another man, one who was everything Kofi was not. As the traditional ceremony went on, he felt the weight of his failure in every moment. The tears began to well up in his eyes, and he couldn't take it anymore. Overcome with sorrow, he ran into the bush, hiding from the world as the love of his life married another. The next morning, Kofi sat with his mother, his heart heavy with a sense of loss he had never known before. He looked at her and said, "I am leaving for the city, Ma. I will make something of myself. I will make enough money to prove to everyone that I am worthy of Oma." His mother, a woman who had given him everything she could, was fearful. "But my son," she said, tears in her eyes, "you don't know anyone in the city. Where will you stay? How will you survive? Please, stay here with me." But Kofi's mind was made up. "I have to leave, Ma. I have to." His mother knelt before him, placing her hands on his head. She prayed for his safety and future. Then, with trembling hands, she gave him the little money she had saved, the last bit of wealth in her hands. Kofi took it, thanked her, and left the village that very day. Years later, Kofi returned to the village as a completely different man. No longer was he the poor, heartbroken boy who had once loved Oma. He had worked tirelessly in the city, fought through countless hardships, and built a life of success. He returned driving the latest car, wearing expensive clothes, and living in a grand house. The small family house his mother had lived in was now rebuilt into something beautiful. One fateful afternoon, Kofi walked through the village, and there, sitting on the side of the road, was Oma. But she was not the same woman he had once known. Her once beautiful face was now weathered, her clothes ragged, and her eyes filled with sadness. She was holding a child in her arms, her son. Kofi approached her, his heart heavy. "Oma," he said softly, "what happened?" With tears streaming down her face, she told him her story. "I married Chuka, the man you saw me with that day. At first, it seemed like a dream come true. But soon, I discovered the truth. He was involved in illegal activities, and while he was away, I found out he had contracted an STD. He infected me, and now, I'm left with nothing but this disease and a child." Kofi stood frozen, feeling a surge of sorrow for the woman he had once loved. She had been trapped in the illusion of wealth, thinking it would bring her happiness, only to be left broken and ill. Despite her past choices, Kofi didn't turn away. He helped her with money, paid for her medical treatment, and made sure she had the support she needed. But his heart had moved on. He had come back to the village not to rekindle the past but to find a future with someone new. Some weeks later, Kofi married the most beautiful maiden in the village, someone who saw his worth not in wealth, but in his heart, in his strength, and in the love he had for her. As he married her, Omo watched from the side. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she realized the price of her decisions.
Now it's time to go answer the question of the day and get your points, and if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, please like and subscribe now. This is how we continue to stay in business. Thank you and good luck.